Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I posted a video a couple days ago showing kind of the work in progress on my new build here, Awesome Window Manager on Gentoo system. And I think it's pretty much done now. I got it pretty much where I want it. When I posted it, I'm still getting quite a few requests. People, well, let's talk about the system first. Now I'll give you the plan. So I have some Arch installs out there. I have some awesome window manager videos and all that kind of good stuff. But what I'm proposing this time is I want to do kind of a ground up build of this system pretty much exactly. So just give you an idea what it has. So pretty obvious here, just a typical, I don't know what they call that, tag list or whatever. I have launchers for, I don't really use these, but it's there in case you want to make more. I have both piano bar and MPD. You can click on the link here and it'll pop up, and this is piano bar headless, so you can close it and it'll stay playing, and MPD will pop up when you click that. They're set on keybind, so F5 starts, actually I think it's the media button, starts piano bar, and F5, just because it's the same button just without a function on my keyboard here, starts MPD. Color coded also, so if you didn't see that. And then so is piano bar. So that's all set up, and when new songs start on this, it pops up a big picture of a new song. So I don't know, let's just go ahead and do it. What do we do? So we do play, and then we do in. Yeah, so get these pop up here. So it's got to sync now because I haven't started in a while. So give it a minute, it'll start. There we go. So sometimes it needs to skip a little bit if you have it paused for quite a while. So when you want to close this, you want to hit Control C and not quit, because quit will quit. It'll kill piano bar. So anyways, you get that. Up here you have your mail. It'll pop up mutt. I don't want to do it because, well, I can do it because it needs a password. But it'll pop up, kill that. It'll pop up mutt for email. This will pop up htop, but I need to get this to the key binding for quit there, or Q there. Alt M is the same thing, but it's set up for memory. So I need to get that. I have the wrong, pointing to the wrong place there. Hover over for the file size, and the same for Alt H for that. And then this will pop up Pavo control for audio. And then this will, so unfortunately I still need to use Network Manager because that's the only one that can do VPN. But VPN, this Wi-Fi signal pops up VPN when it connects, so it should be any second now. There it is. I'll go ahead and close it. So for some reason the mirror I was using for the Gentoo sync, merge sync, didn't like the VPN for some reason. And the battery is really cool. Just real quickly, if we go to the themes and we go to icons, it's as the battery gets lower, it'll go from green to this green to orange to red to low red to empty. And the same thing when right now it's plugged in. It'll go from full, or from empty up to full when plugged in. So pretty cool. I'm probably going to make more of those because if we go to, and I just want to make this real quick. Yeah, so here's your so between these limits, it'll post these different pictures. So this is like bat, full, medium, high. So it gives these limits. It'll pop up those different images. So I'm probably going to make more of these because I don't think there's enough. Between 15 and 20% between pictures, I think is too much. But anyways, that'll be later. Okay, the bottom is just your CPUs. I have a quad-core dual total of 8 system info network. This will go away to nothing when there's no signal and uptime. So as I was saying, I have some Arch install guides out there, but I figure this time I'll do the Gentoo. And set something up real quick. I don't know how long it's been, but I want to kind of set a timer to get an idea, so maybe it's been a few minutes. Okay, so what we're going to do here, proposition is we're going to start VirtualBox and do a new install of Gentoo, and I believe we'll do 64-bit. We're going to give it quite a bit of memory because, what is the number? Actually, I haven't started this program before, so if we do 48 times 3, 6144. There we go. So that'll be, 2 times 3, 6 gigs, so that should be plenty. More than enough, probably. And we'll do, probably only need 16, but we will be installing some programs, so we'll go up to 32. I'm using 13 on mine, so we can use 16. I'm not going to do all the apps that we have now. Alright, set it up. Processors, we're going to use 6. Display. That'll work. Table 3D, storage. Install minimal. Audio and everything else is good. Alright, so we'll go here and, oh, yeah, sorry, gotta, alright, so let's go ahead and close this, and we're going to want a browser, obviously. We're going to need to do it this way because VirtualBox has stolen my keyboard for some reason. And we'll do this one to VirtualBox, leave it alone. Let's see, now we'll just go here and make it 9. And we'll do one more terminal. And we'll do this. Oh, this is going to screw it up. Yeah. Gotta love it when it does that. Bear with me here. Alright, we'll do something interesting up here. We'll do Star Wars. It's a Telnet deal. Okay, so when we start up, we go to the, of course, the download here. It's just the ISO. Will be just this install CD for AMD 64. So just download that, flash it to a drive, and all that kind of good stuff. We'll go straight to the handbook, and we'll go ahead and boot in. Yeah, why not? It won't have any sounds, I think. Actually, did I want to do that? No, I don't want it to capture the mouse, because that is just a pain in the ass. Leave me alone. Okay, yeah, this is just being a pain in the butt. You just gotta love VirtualBox. Okay, so we're gonna go to the AMD 64. So you're going to just try first off. You have the first few deals, choosing the right installation medium, configuring the networks. Let's just hope it works. So let's just do an ifconfig. And yeah, we have ENP0S3, so we're going to use that during our net setup later on. So we're not going to do configure networks yet. Preparing the disks. So a lot of computers are UEFIs now. And you got to worry about such things as UEFI drives and EFI boot manager and all this kind of terrible pain in the butt stuff. But I found a way, you know, and you can get them installed that way. But I found the easiest way to go is this parted method. I'll show you what the deal is, but it gets around all the issues of UEFI. So let's start off first and do an fdisk L, and it's probably going to be dev. Well, we can just do fdisk L, it'll show the loopback. So no, it didn't. Okay, good. Arch Linux does, so this one's good. So it's a 16 gig drive, all that kind of good stuff. So let's do parted, start off right away. Parted A for optimal, and if you read the wiki there, it's just for, it makes extra efforts to make sure all the blocks line up optimally. SDA. Print, there shouldn't be anything there. Okay, so we're going to do pretty much exactly as this thing says. We're going to make a make label GPT. You want to do GPT if you're working especially with UEFI, in case you do want to do a UEFI install. And we do print again, nothing there. We can do units, MIBs. Oops. So yeah, unit MIB. There we go. Okay, and we're going to start right here. We're going to make a part primary. From 1 megabyte to 3 megabytes, which is very small. MK part. Run out of type here. We're going to name one grub, and we're going to set one, and this is important, BIOS grub on. So when you have a UEFI system and you try to install grub 2, it'll look for that 2 megabyte partition. If you don't have it, I believe it will give you some errors when you try to install grub 2 without a UEFI install. So trust me, you want to do that. So we'll do another one. Okay, part primary 3 to 131. This will be your boot, and your kernel will sit in there. And we'll do name MK part primary, and we're going to do had quite a bit of memory, so we're going to do from 131, and we're going to do the calculator again. Oh, that's lovely. So 131, let's do clear. We'll do 2048 times 3, 6144, and we're going to add 131 to that. So it's going to go to 6275. So 131 to, oh crap, what was it, 6235? Do you hate when that happens? $20.48 times 3 plus 131, 6275. Name 3 swap. Alright, make case primary. Didn't need to be that big. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and remove that. I forgot the memory's already there, so RM3. Never mind that. So MK part, we'll just do it as it says, 131 to 643, so that's a 512 name. Okay, so let's try to do this correctly. Okay, part primary. There we go. Name 3 swap. Print, make sure it's correct. Yeah, 511, but it should be 512. Okay. Okay, part. I hope you can see that okay. It's kind of stuck at the bottom, but I can't clear when I'm in parted. Okay, part primary. And by the way, so when you do make the swap drive, you want to do kind of what I just did. You want to figure out how many megabytes your total amount of swap you want to have. I believe I used something like 4 4 or more gigs, something like that, just because you're not going to use your swap until you get to Hibernate, and then Hibernate is going to store everything in the swap. And if you have modern desktops now with a bunch of stuff open, several gigs, you're going to need a swap that's big enough to hold that. So okay, MK primary from 643, and that'll be the end of the last one, to -1, and name for root fs, and yeah, that should do it. And we'll go ahead and set to boot on. Print. Okay, Q to exit. And we're not going to use fdisk. Creating the file systems. So what I typically do is I do mkfs.bfat for dev sda1, mkfs.ext2, label it boot for dev sda2, swap dev sda3, swap on. You know what, I'm going to do this again and name it. Swap on, and you can see the name here. If it'll let me. Yeah, right. Yeah, whatever. Swap on dev sda3, and we can check that works. And we do. We have 510 swap, and we do mkfs.ext4, label it root fs dev sda4. Okay. Now we want to mount. So everything in Gentoo, instead of just going mount stuff, it's mount Gentoo stuff. So we can mount dev sda4 to mount Gentoo. Can mk directory mount Gentoo boot, mount dev sda2 to mount Gentoo boot. Okay. And we can go to the stage 3. Let me check the date. This usually gets screwed up. You'll probably have to do it more than once. Yeah, it's definitely not that. So date, yeah, right now it is 02/24, February 24th at 17:19. I'm giving it one extra minute. 2015. That's good enough. And you see it there. And now we're going to change directories into Gentoo, so cd mount Gentoo. And we can do an ls, and there pretty much isn't anything there, just boot where we, and we can even do ls boot, and there's just nothing there but lost and found. That's from the file creation. So now we're going to ping c3 to gentoo.org. And we're getting them, good. So let's go download the stage 3 tarball links. We don't need the HTTPs. Gentoo.org, main, en, mirrors.xml. Okay, and we can go to downloads. And we'll get the, usually don't get it here. Where is it? Where's the stage 3? Stages, ISOs. Doesn't say anything about stages here. Well, maybe it's here. Yeah, this will work. Stage 3. I have its alpha though. I don't know if that's a good idea. So let's just do it the way I usually do it. And we'll get it from UCSB. And snapshots. Don't want portage. We want MD64. What the hell is that? I can't remember. Dist files maybe? No, that's not it. I'm pretty sure it's snapshots, but it's not showing up. This is MD64. Live DVD. There it is. Okay, so stage 3. There it is. Stage 3, 1204. And go ahead and download it. So we're going to download it, and the next you can do these checksums and everything, but I don't because I'm lazy. But it is recommended. Then we're going to unpack the tar ball using this tar command. Man, it's already been like 20 minutes, hasn't it? It just takes a while. So there's lots of different ways to do this make.conf. So if you do something like Gentoo make.conf, oops, I spelled that. You know, if you do, I don't know, you do GitHub or something, and I don't know, I'm just trying to go to a generic one here. This one's actually pretty good. There's not a whole lot of stuff in here, but it can go on for, yeah, so there's quite a bit of stuff in here. So no offense to any particular person, but you know, I listened to, what's his name, Das Gregor. By the way, if you were listening to this, thanks man, you helped me. But I fully subscribe to his idea that you want absolutely minimal in your make.conf. So if we go to mine, so I've just got a bunch of what do you call it, aliases. So if we do vim, gosh, I mean even ez, which is vim dot, well, I'm just going to do em, which is edit etc portage make.conf. So I've got very minimal stuff in here. He recommends Python ICU, and I put network manager in there because when you're using Awesome, you need something to manage your networks without giving you all kinds of permission uses. And you saw when I did the connected to the VPN, a key ring popped up and I entered. If you don't have something like network manager and everything, then you are going to struggle with permissions on everything. Oops, sorry. And this is, I think, is like a Bluetooth thing. Can't remember. Sensors, and the rest is very basic. So when you do this, the initial part of the install, you're just going to have minimal stuff in your make.conf. What else do we want to do here? So yeah, this is when you start getting into the make.conf itself, and you start talking about, so I should put a disclaimer in here. I am by no means a Gentoo expert. I am, you know, one thing I'm going to check also is that I am recording. It's not showing up here. Well, hopefully it works. When I tested it earlier, it did work. So I usually use FFmpeg, but I plan on using pause, and it's a pain in the butt. Just an extra step to merge files together. I don't want to open up Kdenlive. I just want to be able to pause, like it shows here. And we'll go ahead and pause until this thing finishes. Be right back. Okay, welcome back. So it's finished. So we'll understand where we are right now. We're in the mounted partition Gentoo, and we'll do an ls, and we see we have a stage 3 that we just downloaded. The next step is the tar to expand the tarball. So inside of this basically has the complete base as of something like what, December 4th last year. Complete system. It's got the etc, the bit, the var, the boot, the everything in there, minus the kernel obviously, and just bare bones system. So what this does basically is like expands that stage 3 into all those files directly. So let's do tar xv jpf stage, and you can read what all these things mean, you know. X extract, v verbose, blah blah blah. So xv jpf, make sure you get that stuff right. Very, very important. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. I do have, what, 6 processors dedicated to this, so it should be pretty quick. So we can see all that stuff down here, bottom left. So pretty much now I've got everything working except for my touch screen. My touch screen does not work, so that's when you see on my make.conf got like you know, Illo graphics and MU touch and all this stuff. I'm trying to get my touch screen to work. I haven't figured it out yet. That's the only thing that's nagging at me, is no touch screen. So hopefully, maybe, and I just built a new kernel. Maybe the next kernel I go through, or maybe there's just a module I need to find. It's like an ELZO key, computer or touch screen. You know, speaking of that, if you want to, it's highly recommended when we get to the kernel build stage. You want to try to find like this is my actual computer here, and there's not much to it on the wiki there. So if you go here, it's got all the equipment. So I know that it's an IZGO touchscreen from, I think it's Qualcomm. I don't know who it's from. So if we just do like IZGO touch screen, then it's a Sharp display, IZGO. So I know what it is, but I can't figure out what module to run, and I'm working on it, so it's the last thing. But what I do have is a very similar machine that has all the good stuff in here. So try to find an equivalent for your PC, because it'll actually tell you what to check in your kernel config to get all your stuff working. So, you know, try to do that and try to find your PC, look for a Gentoo and then your computer name, and hopefully that'll just make your life a lot easier. Alright, so now that that's done, we can actually do an ls, and we'll see that pretty much your whole system's here now. You got your bin, dev, home, with 32, stuff like that. So that pretty much just built the system itself. Bare bones, but that's what it is. So let's go ahead and go into the make.conf. I'm getting used to using nano again. The W, I believe, wraps so it doesn't go off screen. Text doesn't go off screen, especially if you have a lot of use flags or something. You don't want it to disappear off the screen. Mount, Gentoo, and make sure you use mount, because if you just do etc portage, now that's on the ISO. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure every time, until you change root, you want to make sure you put in that mount Gentoo, etc portage make.conf. And I'm going to get rid of, I think it's like what, Control H, no, Control J, Control K, yeah, Control K. Get rid of all this extra stuff. Oops. I'm going to exit because I'm not sure if I just deleted something I shouldn't have. K, warning, K. Alright. So what I typically do, and what I've seen people recommend, I guess, is to go to your C flags and make an M arch equals native. Now that just means that when you build when you build programs, it's only for your system, and you won't be able to like have a shared server basically of pre-built packages. So if you're stringing together a bunch of computers in a lab or something, and you want one computer to build all these programs and then distribute the binaries directly to these computers as opposed to all of them having to compile them themselves, you would probably not do native. But in this case, I haven't had any problems with the native in there. So the O I don't mess with. That has to do with optimizing some stuff. Don't mess with that. So as you see here, it says recommend O2 native, O2 and pipe, just like pretty much obviously. We are going to add, and I typically put it right here, make opt close, and then you figure out how many cores you have. On mine, I actually have it set to 10, J10. So if we go to 2 here, you see I have it J10. I think you can, it's roughly the number of cores you have plus 1, but I found that it's okay to go more than that, so I'm going to do minus J. I have 6, I believe I have 6 cores. I'll just do J7. Okay, so what I am going to add here is kind of like what I mentioned before. We're going to put Python and ICU for Chromium, and what was the other one? Do Network Manager, Pulse Audio. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Oh crap. Okay, there it is. Be careful. Pulse Audio, and what was the other one? I already forgot. Yeah, Network Manager. Because we're not going to have a desktop default, and because of that, typically when you set your profile, like mine is, you select profile list, you see that I'm set up as KDE. That will automatically pull in Qt on everything and KDE on everything. When you do your major upgrade after we get a basin system installed, which syncs everything before you start adding packages and desktops and all that, it'll automatically pull in a lot of these use flags. So, and only in this case where I'm not going to use one of those, I'm going to add a couple things. I'm going to add GTK and GNOME, and we're not going to pull in KDE. I'll do it this way, Qt4 or KDE. Now you can have a lot of really complicated use flags and all that stuff, but this will kind of take, like I said, if you gotta be careful there, man, it's deadly. If you set a profile like GNOME or KDE, like I said, you don't need to do that. And you can see here that I don't have any of that set because, again, that profile is going to pull those in for you. Alright, so I think we can set a bunch of other things up like video cards, input device, and also cards. So let's go ahead and set that up now. Video cards, so we don't have to do it later. Let me make sure that I'm saying that right. Video underscore cards, input underscore devices, also underscore cards. Equals input devices equals, and what was that again? Also cards. Also cards. Okay, we can do that now. Just leave them empty until after we get the system installed. Okay, we can exit out of there. Control X, Y, enter, clear, keep to the top. So now we want to find our mirrors. So let's go ahead and go to mirror select, IO to mount. Again, you want to make sure you use mount Gentoo. Portage make.conf. Coming up on half an hour already. I'll have to break this up pretty soon. Okay, so you just want to find your country here. And it takes forever to get down here. I've had a couple of them, like the Sandia Lab here, didn't like me pulling packages while in VPN, so I'm not going to use that this time. This one I think is a decent one, so we'll go ahead and use that. Open source lab, I kind of like the sound of it too. And mirror select, we'll also do R-R. And I just use the US any available. You know, it doesn't seem like speed is all that big a deal in this case. At least I haven't had any problems with waiting a long time on pulling packages. Alright, so the resolve, so let's take a look at what resolve is. Let's do nano etc resolve.conf, and there's really nothing in here, but they say generated by enp0s3, but let's just go ahead and do it anyways. Copy L etc resolve to mount Gentoo etc resolve. Oh yeah, just etc. It's not there yet. Okay. Now we're going to mount everything. So you realize how nice the arch chroot is when you get to this block of stuff. So mount T proc mount into proc mount rbind sys mount Gentoo sys mount make. I think this has to do with systemd, this extra stuff now. They have this mount rslave thing. Sys. Try to make it easier on yourself. Dev. And dev. Alright. rbind sys rbind dev rslave sys rslave dev. Yep. Okay, we don't have anything symbolic link to SHM. I never have done that. Let's go ahead and chroot Gentoo and bash and do source etc profile. And we can do this, why not? Export ps1 equals so you can see that you're trooted now. Alright, we'll do a emerge webrsync. This might take a while, so I'll be back in a second. Alright, I lost connection or something, but yeah, I got it back, so. Alright, so I think I might be able to see this. I haven't actually tried this, but yeah, so I think we just downloaded all of this stuff in your portage tree, and if you remember, now we can go, since we are rooted, we can go directly to portage. Make.conf. We can see that we the portage directory is user portage. So go down here. So that's where pretty much we just downloaded everything. That's what that does. Alright, so we have our synced emerge tree, portage tree. And when you do an update, you know, monthly or weekly or however often you do it, that emerge sync will repopulate your portage tree, and then you do an update and it tries to update everything. And I haven't gone through one of those yet, so that'll be interesting. I hear there's issues sometimes, but maybe I'll keep up to date as yeah, anyways, that's later date. Okay, so as we saw a second ago, we got a bunch of news, so let's just do eSelect news list. And I think this is from the last, what would you call it? The last snapshot, which was back in December. So we got 10 news items. I mean, you can do, let's just go ahead and read, and that's just going to be a bunch. We're not going to be able to get through all that right now. So that's pretty much, you get all your news, like if they moved something, or if they're getting rid of a downstream Python version, like 2.7 is the low stream now, and it's up to like 3.4. So if everybody's on 2.7 and they're coming up on phasing that out, they'll recommend that you upgrade Python, and equivalent for Ruby, I think. So definitely moving forward, you want to read those very, very carefully, because those will affect your system big time. So anyways, now we can select our profile. So we select profile list, and so we can kind of decide what we want. Like I said before, we have let's see if I can get a better angle here. There we go. We have we have GNOME and GTK flagged in our use variables, so I'm just going to call this desktop now. I think it's might be a little dangerous calling for GNOME, because a lot of that's forcing everybody to go systemd, and we're not going to do that. So I'm just going to go profile set, and we'll pick number 3 for just a desktop. So what that does is, if you were, like I said before, if you were GNOME, it would pull in every time a package has both GTK and Qt properties or parts. It will only pull in the GNOME part and the GTK part, and it will not install the KDE. Vice versa, right now you can see, like if I open VirtualBox again, you can see that that's in Qt. That's not the typical GTK look. So if we go to Qt config, you can see that that's pretty much what my theme looks like, because everything's Qt, it's not GTK, right? So that's the whole point of Portage, is that you're able to pick and choose what is installed. If I had the GNOME work stuff, this would all be GTK themes, right? You can select some programs to install GTK, like if there's no good Qt, because I think like Thunar, I think this is a GTK, so I also have LX appearance. So I didn't put a negative GTK in my use variables, so I am able to pull in GTK on some things. Like I don't know if Thunar has any Qt support. It might, I don't know. You might be able to force it to. But I just figured, why not just let the ones that are supposed to have it, and everything else doesn't need it. Okay, enough of that. All right. So this is what we already did here. We've already figured what we want to do. You can put all this DVD, also CDR in now, but when you start getting into more of your packages, it's probably a good idea. So let's go ahead and do that. etc portage and make. So if you do it this way and you don't have a profile set where all this stuff will be pulled in with the meta packages of GNOME and KDE, if you don't install those major big deals, then you probably should put these in here. So we'll put like Pulse Audio is already in there, so I'm not going to do that. We can put USB, CDR, all that kind of stuff, but try to keep it to a bare minimum. Yeah, I just screwed that up. Cancel. Okay, careful with the key bindings here. Control X, Y, enter. And don't worry about X. That'll be pulled in with your XOR. You know what? Will it without the profile? I think it will. Let's try without it. Alright, so let's set the time zone. So just like everything else, ls user share zone info. We got your city, your countries, and we do America, and we get our cities. So we do echo America, Los Angeles. Make sure I get that right. Into etc time zone. And if you don't get this stuff right, the next step will point it to you. Say, hey dummy, you didn't do it right. So this will do an emerge config sys. This is a package. Time zone data. So emerge has, you know, this classification where it has like the type of program. Like this is in the syslibs section, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it. And then the package is called time zone dash data. So this isn't actually going to install anything. It's just going to config it to look there. Okay, and now let's take a look at our locales. Nano etc locale gen. This one's a lot shorter than the arch is. I'm just going to have one because you just can only select one anyways. Control X, Y. Here. Locale gen. See, it sees the EN US UTF-8. And the cool thing about the Gentoo setup is this eSelect idea. So if you have if you have a few of those in there, then you can pick whichever one you want, and it'll kind of update everything. It's pretty cool. So we're going to say set. What is that? 3. Now do it again, and we see that 3 is highlighted. Okay. Let's try to go in right where I was, so I can actually use that pointer. Okay. So then we need to do an env update and source etc profile. So let's take a real quick look at etc profile. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff. It's a little too much to go through. Okay, so now we're going to download the kernel. Okay, so there's a bunch of different configurations, or like steps, or so if you do like emerge, you can do ask. That'll mean it'll look for the the program and it'll ask you to confirm whether you want to install it. If you don't have this, it'll just jump into installing it. Always a good idea to use ask. And I also use verbose, where it'll give you like the package size and all that stuff. So I use both of those. And you could probably just do Gentoo dash sources here, but it's a good practice to get into sys kernel, because there might be 2 packages named Gentoo sources, one in sys kernel and one in some game somewhere. But that sys kernel part of the tree, remember there'll be that user portage, it'll have folders, and one of them will be syskernel, and inside of that will be Gentoo sources. So it's kind of a way to break these different packages up in the portage tree. Alright, so as you can see here, this kind of a first exposure to use flags and everything. You have this sysdevel BC that is going to pull in readline. It's not going to pull in libedit or static. And on the Gentoo sources, it's not going to build in build, deblob, experimental, or symlink. We're just going to leave those alone. I'm not sure how long this will take. Shouldn't take too long. But I'll go ahead and pause it anyways. This video is getting pretty long already. Be right back. Hello, welcome back. Alright, so that didn't actually take all that long. Next thing we want to do is, we're probably not going to need this, but we'll do it anyways. We'll do emerge and there are shortcuts. Ask is just -A, and V is verbose. And just an interesting thing here, we're going to put time in here, which will give us how long it takes for this to build, to download and build. Oh yeah, probably ought to put it in the actual package, huh? Sys apps PCI utils. So that's what it looks like when you get it wrong. Again, it's going to pull in kmod and zlib, but not static libs. That's what the red means, it's going to include it, and blue means it won't. Yes. And make sure we're selected. Just kind of an interesting thing we can do is just Alt right arrow to get into a new shell here, and we can do tail F to mount Gentoo var log, and we have a couple things in here. Let's take a look at emerge fetch, and let's start another one to the right. We'll do tail F mount Gentoo var log emerge dot log. So you can see it's already finished building, but so the next thing we're gonna do, so that only took 21 seconds. Next thing we're gonna do, we're not gonna build the kernel from scratch. It's not really recommended, but I will do gen kernel. And so this is what you can do if you don't want to ask or verbose or anything like this. Let's just do a time emerge gen kernel. Now it'd probably be under what? Sys, what would that be under? Sys kernel slash gen kernel, probably. I don't know. So right now it's downloading, which is really cool to watch. That's actually not downloading from the mirror, and if we go over one more time, we see that it's compiling and merging. So it went through step one of what was it? Start one, cleaning up, compiling and merging. Still downloading. I'm just kind of watching this here. Haven't actually watched this all the way through. Here's something to do while we're waiting for everything to compile. And again, that's just Alt left arrow or Alt F1. I have this set up right. Alt F1, Alt F2, Alt F3. Yep, okay, so that only took 1.5 minutes. Interesting. Or just over 1 minute. Less than I thought. Alright, you know, it's getting quite a ways into this. It's probably 45 plus minutes. I had some screw up on starting and stopping my timer, but let's just go ahead and do this. Why not? If you have, let's see, what does this say? You know, it says go ahead and do it, so let's go ahead and do it. So let's just do nano etc fstab, and let's just do this real quick. It doesn't take too long. Our boot is SDA2, and it's ext2. Our root is SDA4, and it is not x3, it's x4. Our swap is SDA3. Don't have a CD-ROM, Control K, and we don't have a floppy, Control K. I seriously doubt anybody has that stuff anymore. Let's make sure, do cat etc fstab. Yep, looks good. So if you want to have like your own kernel name like I have here, and all that kind of good stuff, you want to do gen kernel menu config all. Tedious stuff, man. Okay, so now it's really important to to do just like tab open is for LuaKit is by default a Google search. So if we do del XPS 15Z Gentoo and then find it here. So again, that's kind of what you want to do, is find your PC to get an idea what is in and what needs to be done on the kernel and stuff like that. So just to give an example, first thing you want to do, general setup, go to the bottom, or go not to the bottom, find graphics. No, that's not it. Escape, it's under device drivers, find graphics, support, go to boot logo, hit Y to include, and we don't need these, just the good one. That's the first thing you do. So escape goes back one level. Don't hit escape when you're at this top, because it'll start building. And it's a good idea, at least I've done it, is once you get it saved the way you like it, you want to save it. Save the config. You can do it later with a zcat, but it makes it much easier to do it this way. So say you have device drivers, you have a you want to go to USB support, and you want to make sure you have Y will include it as, oops, need to go top, and then you can do this. So it's really kind of tricky. So it needs to have support. It's like a tree. As you go to the next level, it tabs over. This one needs to be included in order to include the ones underneath it. So you need 2 and 3 included USB types. You want to include the mass storage. Most of the time you don't need bugging. If you have a Realtek card, it's a good idea to include that. This is probably the hardest and most involved part, to try to get everything working on your system. So for example, if we do processor types, this is processor type Core 2 newer Xeon. You need to go to processor types and features. You need to go to what does this say? Symmetric processor types, families, generic x86. It's this here. Space. Include it. You want to go to preemptible low latency, all that kind of stuff. If it's Intel, make sure you have all the Intel stuff included, and so on and so forth. So then what I do is save. And once you're happy, at this top level, hit escape again, and it starts to build. And I'll be back in a second when that's done. So I forgot one very important thing. So once you get back in here, if you want to load your old config again, -mojo. Then if you go to like general setup, nope. If you go to device drivers, find graphic support again, boot up logo, so you can see that it's saved. So you're able to load your old config. Most important part, also in general setup, local version -mojo. That'll give you this down here -msjche. Okay, and we can save that -mojo. Cool. Escape. Now it'll start building. Okay, I'll be back in a second. Hello, welcome back. Okay, so it's only been a few seconds for you, but anyways, so done with the Gen kernel. And if you want to get a list of all your modules and you want to get an idea what you want to load at different times, you can get these in here. For instance, if you have a IWL Wi-Fi, which is typical Intel chip, then you'd want to probably have something in there. So actually, I don't even know if I do. Let's take a look. TC. What was that? Where was that? CompD modules. Yeah, I don't have anything in here. I don't know, maybe I'll do this here. Maybe I'll just put word insert vbox drv. See if that loads next time. I don't know, I've never really messed with that, so I usually just do mod probe and then it typically stays. We can do emerge av, again that's ask verbose sys kernel Linux firmware. I think it'll probably have a collision though with some of the stuff in, again if you want to take a look what it's doing. Slow internet for some reason. It's usually pretty quick. I wonder what the deal is. It might collide with the gen kernel stuff though, so no big deal if it does. Yeah, very slow internet. What's going on? Oh well. Okay, we've already done fstab, so we're good there. Do a host name. Maybe that maybe that what you call it, mirror that I selected is a slow one, so maybe you don't want to use the one I just used. Pretty slow. I'm probably gonna have to change that. Yeah, I think there was a bunch of errors and stuff like that. So if we go up, yeah, a bunch of X's. So shift up, shift page up. So we had a bunch of collisions and stuff. So collisions, yeah, no worries. So if you want to do clear nano w gc conf d host name, you can change it to I don't know. Mojo Gentoo, I guess, why not? Oops, yeah, just used them keywords or keybinds. Okay. I'm not going to do anything in conf.enet, and I'm not going to do anything for the NIS domain. Configuring the network. So there are a few things that you want to do if you are a laptop user. So I'm going to do just a search for Gentoo wireless or Wi-Fi and RA there. There are packages that you definitely want. Of course, you want to go through this anyways when you're building your kernel. So this is, you want to do a search for Xorg and make sure that all of these. No, that's not in this one. It's just do a open. Should be RA, maybe that one. Yeah, so make sure you go through this, do it also, search for ALSA, make sure you do all those. Pulse audio, make sure if there's anything in here, yeah. Make sure that this is in there. And on Wi-Fi, make sure you do all these. And there's a section in the USB. If you have problems like I have a dongle, I don't have an Ethernet outlet, I had to use a USB connector. There was a USB network, a couple things in the kernel I needed to get. I can't remember where it was, but you can do a search for USB wireless in Gentoo. Just do a Gentoo wireless USB and you can find it after digging around for a while. Not real obvious, unfortunately, but yeah, make sure all this stuff is built into the kernel. I don't know how I got there, but anyways, you want to do that. We can set up our net, so let's do again ifconfig again to understand that it's enp0s3. So let's do a emerge av ask no replace net misc net ifrc. Okay, And let's do a nano etc conf d net and do a config enp0. Let's check and make sure. enp0s3 0s3 equals, and this should automatically set up your network when you reboot. DHCP Control XY, and then we want to do cd init etc init. Yeah, we don't want to do that. We want to make sure we're in the right place. Okay, yeah, this is the right place. Okay. Nano etc init dot d. Yeah, okay, good. I want to make sure, try not to get lost here. CD, there we go. ls. So there's this net.lo from when we made the conf.d net. So there's this weird thing where conf.d had that net in it. So this net here, where we wrote in the enp0s3 use DHCP. Now we need to tell lns from this here, which is net.lo, to net.enp0s3 lslsa. We can see that enp is pointed to net.lo, which is built from that conf.d. That makes sense? A little complicated, or a little convoluted, I guess, but that's what you have to do. I'm not going to do anything in hosts. No, why not? We're here. Nano. Oh crap. Nano. etc hosts. And you can call it whatever you want. Mojo, Gentoo. Actually, whatever. Don't need to do anything really there. Okay, let's set up a password. Super secret. Nothing with key maps. Hardware clock. I don't know. Where did I actually have mine set now? Yeah, I have it local. Okay. It seems to work okay, so let's just go ahead and do that. etc conf.d hw. You know, I didn't restart. Yeah, I did. Okay, we're about close to an hour. hw clock. Let's change that to local. And you really start missing Vim once you're used to it. Installing tools. Okay, I'm going to do all of these at once to save a little time. Yeah, it keeps stealing it. Okay. Clear, merge, AV for app, admin, syslog, ng, sys process, cronny, and sys apps and locate. And yeah, we're not going to mess with any of that stuff. It's interesting geo IP you might get later if you're doing something like transmission, but oh well. Take a look at how it's doing. Yeah, see, it seems to be downloading a little quicker now. I don't know why it was slower earlier. Totally satisfying watching the merge work. It's kind of cool. looks like Star Wars is over again. Let's watch it again. Why not? And 5 out of 6. Now it's doing syslog, seems to take the longest. And we're going to add all these to default. Hope you can't hear the washing machine too loud in the background. Sorry about that. You can't. Alright, so RC update. Add syslog G default. And we're going to add chrony. I'm going to be using that later. And we're going to add SSHD default. And not going to do anything with the net tab. Net tools, we definitely want DHCP. Merge AV for MISC DHCPCD. Yes. And again, the verbose gives you that package size. Oh yeah, Wi-Fi. We definitely need a few things here. Before you get stuck on a new install and you can't figure out why you can't, your Wi-Fi's down and you can't figure out how to turn it back on, you need a bunch of these things. So you're going to do merge AV for IP route 2. Net, no, let's just spell them out. Sys apps IP route 2. Sys apps net tools net wireless tools and net wireless IW. There was another one, and Gentoo kit. Okay, I think I have revved up rebuild or something like that. Okay, moving on. The bootloader. This should go smooth now that we have that bioscrub thing set up and everything. Might take a bit to install it if I remember correctly. It's not the fastest thing in the world. And let's get an idea where we are on this. We're on 4 out of 10. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it and I'll be back in a second. Alright, just finished. Good to go. We're over an hour into this thing, so I wasn't planning on doing quite this much the first video, but oh well. Let's do clear, let's do time, emerge, AV, sys, boot, wow, learn how to type, grub. This will possibly take a while. It's only, what, 10 megs? So, you know, grub 2 is super easy, man. I mean, look at that. It's grub 2 install and then grub 2 make config. Boom, you're done. And then we're pretty close to finished with the first part of the build. We might as well just go until I start the full system update after rebooting before I end this video. Might as well. We're almost there anyways. And then start the next one at the end of that. I suspect would be a good place to go. 3 of 3. Yeah. definitely a workout. Looking for the CPU down here. Quite a workout. Permissions are an issue. So you see here I don't have access to my speed shown, and now it should give me my messages. I don't know why it's a pain. It doesn't keep permissions for some reason. Maybe a second now. Or maybe there's an issue there. And by the way, there is a conky heads-up display pops up with F12. So yeah, grub takes a while to compile. We're going to try to avoid this. There's one package. What was it? If we do, yeah, how long? Genlop. So quit. And this is on using J10 i7 with 16 gigs of RAM. GTK WebKit. WebKit GTK. Oh, yeah, Genlop T. One time it took almost 5 hours. Pain in the butt. So EIX WebKit GTK. So, you know, I have quite a few things pulling in here. Geoloc was what I probably shouldn't have done, because that just absolutely. The thing is I think there's a bug in the program or in the shell script or something where it only uses one core. So it's like it's building on a single core processor, and it's just ridiculous. It just hangs. It took longer to do this than to build KDE, I think. So we're going to try to avoid. We're going to try not to build that, because, you know, on a virtual machine that might take a day. Pain in the butt. So that's some of the things. So that only took 2.25 minutes. Okay. So let's do grub to install. Dev SDA. This shouldn't give us an error. Cool. And we'll do a grub to mkconfig -o boot grub dot cfg. That worried me the first time that this CFG wasn't there, but we're going to make it. It's not there until we make it. Alright, and now we can do an exit. Everything should be good. Found an image. And CD to back to the. So there's our system. It's still there. It's good to go. U-mount. And while I'm typing here. SHM PTS. For some reason, when I unmount these guys, boot, sys, and proc, all of these, one of these guys, yeah, I always find some of these are busy. Oh well. I'm just going to do shutdown P now. And I'm going to get out of tiling so I can get my virtual machine up. And go in here, settings, storage. Remove and change that to 8, go to 8, start it, and close it. And do that. There we go. Get this thing down now. Finalizing. Alright, root. Password, super secret. Let's do a user add mg users real audio portage USB video to msjche and password msjche just happens to be the same password. Okay, and let's do a if config and ping c3 gentoo.org. Alright, so our net.lo setup works. You'll actually see it during the boot script that it's booting, that it's starting the network connection via DHCP. Okay, and CD to base. We can remove stage 3. Where to go from here? So I am going to start this now. Hopefully there won't be any issues. I didn't have any issues on my first build. Before we add X and all that stuff, I'm just going to leave the make.conf without any input or sound cards. So we're just going to do an emerge uvdna at world. This is going to be huge. A couple hundred megs. It'll probably take a couple hours, few hours, several hours. I don't know. I'll let it run over the night. Speaking of that, pkill screen saver. Alright, so we have 189 packages, 400 megs, 4 blocks, but I think it's going to work. And we're going to have upgrades on our Perl. Okay, yeah, that might be messy. We might have to rebuild Perl once we have an issue, but we'll give it a try. So yeah, that's part 1, and I don't know, however long it takes for this thing to finish. Be out of town tomorrow, so it might be a few days before I get the next one up. But anyways, until next time, talk to you later.